I said, man, if Georgia can just give me a national championship, I'm going to be stress-free. Then I got two. I need it.
Welcome to My God, a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I are joined by Logan Booker from 960 The Ref, as well as another special guest. We talk all things Georgia football, from SEC Media Days to savoring back-to-back national championships. And we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My God, a Podcast. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. And we're back after a longer than expected hiatus. I will say, though, I'm pretty sure this is the first, well, what was to be the last episode was the first ever My God, a Podcast weather delay.
I apologize. I'll take the criticism, man. I'll tell you what, we had a gnarly thunderstorm. We were supposed to do this show a couple of Thursdays ago, and man, I was out in Lincoln County, and you three of us were texting back and forth, but I've seen some crazy storms out there, but that was like one of the biggest I've ever seen, man. It was wild. So one, glad my house is okay. Two, sorry my internet went out. And three, sorry for the first ever My God, a Podcast weather delay, I guess. But you know what they say, man, when it rains, Georgia's better. So
I get it.
If you'd have been Tennessee, you would have been down and out for the count.
Exactly. Whoa, what does Carter have in his hand? Wait a second. We just got that on video.
He asked to pour the beverage this evening.
Good for him.
Too good. Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, we've got Logan Booker with us, friend of the show. I don't know, Logan. I think you may be our most frequent guest. I was trying to think about that earlier. I think that's true. I think you're up there with a couple of folks. But number three, I think right now you lead. Other than Carter, but you know, Carter's in the family.
Carter's the man. I guess what is it? Saturday Night Live. They give like the 5-time host jacket. So is that in the near future? I'm thinking by the end of the season I may hit number 5. Man, that'd be kind of sweet.
We gotta commemorate that. We gotta commemorate that with something.
That's right.
Although I did tell you that I was gonna bring you something in the fall, and I still plan. But maybe I can hang this over your head as a carrot for it. No, but it was the Cannonballers beer. I was gonna bring you some.
Nice. No way.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. That's one of those like minor league baseball T-shirts I picked up. That's just like the logo's great. You know it. I mean, it's just a great logo, and I think I even picked up a sticker on their website. But if you got a Cannonballers beer, man, I'm all about that life. That's sweet.
Yeah. Kannapolis Cannonballers is just north of where we live.
Walker, he went to a game and brought me this App State beer. Check this out. This kind of
nice.
Cool. It's I think they just make it right there in Boone, but this is from that. Remember they won that Hail Mary against Troy?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
College game day was there. His son goes there, and he brought me that beer back. It's sealed. I haven't drank it, but maybe one day. Who knows?
I'm still waiting on the official Georgia collab beer. I don't know. I don't know if that's like round on. But there was the Battle and Bulldog beer back in the day. I've got some old cans of that, but like. Can we not have a Creature Comforts like Georgia beer? I don't understand what's going on.
Here's a little insight to that, and you guys probably know this already, but you know some of Georgia's biggest donors, biggest boosters. I'm not going to sit here and like name drop, but some of the biggest funding members of the Booster Club are alcohol distributors. It's a big business.
Yeah.
And I honest to God, I believe that's one of many factors, not the only, is why we still don't have beer in Sanford Stadium, is because all those guys want a piece of the pie. They want to figure out a way to make them the distributor for that and whatnot. So it's just kind of slowing it down. But I honestly think that may be a hurdle toward, like, you know, some of these breweries in Athens having an official Bulldog beer. There's some good beers out there. I mean, if we're giving out free plugs or whatnot, it's Southern Brewing, I think, that makes the back-to-back beer. If y'all have that.
Oh, I haven't.
It's very simple. They don't use any official Georgia logos. It's just called back-to-back, and it's a real solid IPA. It's actually pretty good.
Are the colors red and black?
Yeah, they are red and black. Probably
it's like the Jimmy Dean sausage baseball card of beers.
it's like one Pantone number off of the actual like red, I'm pretty sure, just to make sure it's not any copyright. But it's pretty good. But yeah, maybe one day we will get like a. Oh, you know, here's some good stuff. Nick Chubb back when he was at SEC Media Days. I think it was prior to 17, his senior season. Kirby, no, it was Kirby brought him out there for his final media days. And I remember being in this group talking to him, and he's like, well, what do you want to do after football? Because Nick's a man of few words. And you can imagine his voice is very timid. He goes, I want to be a hops farmer. And we all, we're like, oh, what? What'd you say? He goes, I want to grow hops. And we're like, oh, like beer, like hops beer. He's like, yeah, man, like that. Apparently he has, he's from Cedartown, a big farming community. And I don't know if he has like a family farm or something that they're in the hops business, but he, after football, has made it clear he wants to grow hops. So maybe with all that money he's made, he'll break the barrier one day and sort of have an official Georgia beer. I'd be all about some number 27 special Nick Chubb beer, wouldn't y'all?
A Chubb stub.
Yeah, man.
I feel like the hops has to have the picture of him jumping crazy high at that track meet.
Yeah, man.
Hops. Yeah.
I think it was Roddy Nabolsi that took that photo, man. And it comes around every once in a while. I still can't like define it. My brain does not register how someone can float in the air like that. That was a great photo he took.
It was. Well, Carter, while we've got you here, I know we got school starts tomorrow. That's the rumor.
That is the rumor.
That is the rumor.
How did the summer go by so fast? What have you been up to?
Growing his hair out.
I see that.
Get that boy a brush, man. Get him a ponytail holder. Maybe he needs that.
Mom's been trying to get him a haircut for the last month, and he refuses.
Fight your resistance, Carter.
When school's coming back, that means football soon. So you can think of it.
That's what I see it, man. I like tease my wife all the time. I see like a back to school commercial and I'm like celebrating, like, yeah, football. She's like, no, school. So we have very different mindsets when it comes to like this time of year, because I'm all about those school supplies in the shelves, because that means football and cooler weather's on the horizon, man. We still got a ways to go to get to the cooler weather, but it will get here one day.
Well, we're approaching the day when it's like there'll be one day where you'll go outside and it'll be like unseasonably cool and you'll smell the grass. And then that to me, that's always that moment when I know like football is upon us.
I'm actually, so Friday, I'm going to do my morning show. Then I'm going to hop on a plane immediately after and go to Utah for a week. And one of the places I've been looking at, it's called Alta. I think I'm not trying to pronounce it. A big ski resort in Salt Lake, but I love to hike there in the summer times. And I think right now, next week, the forecast is like a high in the low 70s, like mid 40s overnight. That's going to feel like heaven, man. Like I'm actually going to get to wear a hoodie next week while I'm like on a trail, which is like a godsend.
Nice.
So if you guys want any Utah gear, Carter, do you need a Utah hat? Because they're playing Florida week 1.
As long as we can get a W out there.
I'll bring you a sticker back at minimum, man. We got August 31st. Is that right? Is that the first Thursday? Like I'm telling you, that's one of my favorite days of the year. It is like the closest thing when I was like, say, Carter's age and it was Christmas Eve and you can't sleep that night before. Like that to me is that Thursday leading into first week of football, man. I love that we have a game of like rooting interest with Florida and Utah too. So I'll care about Utah one day a year, and it's going to be this one.
That's a Thursday week 1, right? Like that's not week 0.
No, there's no Thursday week 0 games. It's all Saturday. But then that next Thursday, it's just that is one of the most glorious nights, man, because like you're leading into Labor Day. You got football on TV. We always get a big giant Chick-fil-A nugget tray that night and just kind of sit down and watch football. It's awesome.
Nice. We need to do that.
Yeah, man.
So I'm assuming we'll be there in Athens that weekend. I don't know. We usually go to Lake Hartwell on that Labor Day weekend. So we'll probably be down there in Hartwell and come over to Athens for the day on Saturday, something like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grow out my hair to be like Carson Beck.
There you go.
Nice.
He is a little stringy on the head these days.
And then you got Brock Vandegrift too. He could have he has the long hair.
Well, let's cut to the chase. Carter, who's starting at quarterback this year, man?
Carson Beck.
Carson, you think? He's the safe bet, but man, I'm telling you, I'm hearing more and more good stuff about Brock like every day. And like, I would not rule him out, but I would absolutely bet the mortgage that Carson starts the season. But I don't think Kirby would hesitate to pull it if he needs to a few games in. Like, I mean, I'm not predicting.
Knowing Kirby, that wouldn't be surprising.
No. I mean, I think Carson's going to get it done for the whole season, but I would not be surprised at all if he struggles for a game or two that Brock may get a real chance. So we'll see, man. he fits that Bobo formula for sure. So does Gunnar Stockton, honestly.
Oh yeah. The heir apparent, right?
Yeah. So we'll see.
Gunnar intrigues me. I mean, Brock was one of those kids. I don't know. Actually, the spring game was on this weekend, and I watched a little bit of it on SEC Network. And, I don't know, whenever Brock takes off to run, I'm like, woo.
Yeah.
He's giving you Stetson vibes.
I don't know. I just remember like when his first spring game, whenever you're like the hot new freshman, when you're the new hotness, remember it wasn't like there was any chance he's gonna be blank. Like first time he threw a pass, like, oh, the kid's got a cannon. So I don't know. But
this is nothing that's going to be like earth shattering or anything. But about a month ago, we played. Dave and I, my co-host on 960 The Ref, played in the ESP Celebrity Golf Tournament there at the Georgia Club.
Yeah,
and every single group got paired up with air quote celebrity. We actually got Cole Spear, the freshman wide receiver from. Is he from Canton? I think.
Oh, nice.
Somewhere up 75. But we got him in our group, just shooting the breeze with him for several holes, and I just kind of like joked around. I was like, "All right, Cole, cut the crap, man. Who's going to be the starting quarterback?" And he laughed a little bit, but then he got kind of serious, and he was like, straight face. He's like, "We got some dudes." He was like both of the guys. He said both, referring to, I'm assuming, Carson and Brock as like being like the two 1A, 1B, whatever. But he was very clear that they are both capable of doing what Mike Bobo wants this year. So you never know, man. Like, again, that wasn't like revealing of anything, but you could tell that he was very serious when he said that like everybody in that quarterback room is like very capable right now. So that was kind of cool to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the vibe, right? Like if you figure if one of them doesn't get a shot, beyond Carson back, if one of them doesn't get like the clear, I'm the number 2 guy and going to be the guy next year, one of them is probably going to be leaving, right?
Yeah. You would assume
you got Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, they all say the right things when they're being recruited and when they're freshmen, but yeah, that's just part of football now. I will never be surprised or even hold a grudge anymore when it comes to transfers. There's going to be some guys that transfer a place that you may not want them, like Jermaine Burton, and the way he did it with a couple of comments rubbed us the wrong way for sure, and I get that. But like, is anybody out there really mad at A.D. Mitchell for like going to Texas? I mean, not really. I would love to have him this year, and I love that he won a couple championships and made some huge catches along the way that will be legendary, but I wish him well.
In December.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you say that. I think Texas might actually be back. What do y'all think?
Ooh, what do you think? What do you think, Carter? Is Texas back?
Is it finally official? See, here's the thing. I don't even think it's Arch. I don't think so either. Quinn. I think Quinn's legit good. And I think having another year, I think he, and I'll flat out say, if he did not get hurt against Alabama last year, Texas beats Alabama.
Yeah,
that's something I can't prove it, but I'll always believe it. Yeah. And I think he's going to be solid this year. I think they get out a lot in the portal. Year 2 under Sarkisian, I'm absolutely picking Texas to beat Alabama week 2. I really do think that's going to happen.
Ooh.
And it's going to be solid.
There.
I'm telling you, man. Do a quick fact check on that one for me, Carter. I think he'll get the ding.
Here's the question: are you that confident that you would put money on it?
Maybe like a $5 bill. I'm not going to like go heavy duty on it, but
so you're not that confident.
Not that confident, but I really do think it's going to happen. And you think Alabama fans are whiners right now? You wait until they lose to Texas. It's going to be a whole new level of glorious, Carter. I can't wait.
So it's like betting TCU will win over Georgia in the national championship.
Something like that. Something like that.
Speaking of Alabama, so if you have them losing in week 2, like how many losses do you think Alabama has the rest of the way?
Did y'all hear Aaron Murray's soundbite today on his Players Lounge? He was like, I forgot exactly how he said it, but he says Alabama's ceiling is 10-2. He's like they may be even 9-3. He's put it out there. But look, if LSU beat them last year, LSU can absolutely beat them again this year. It's going to be in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I was about to say they were at home, though.
Yeah, I don't think Tennessee has a prayer that this year. I think Nick Saban did not like the way they handled that last year, rushing the field and all that. I just see that as a revenge game for Nick. I would not bet Alabama or Tennessee's going to beat them. But I've already said I think Texas beats them. I think LSU has improved that much, and I think they're really like loaded right now. And if you had to throw one more out there that just kind of may surprise, I don't know. Remember A&M had them on the ropes this past year, and I think A&M is going to be a vastly improved team this year. And that one's in College Station, I believe.
It is.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, okay. But I don't think they lose all three of those. I still think a 10-2 is more likely for Alabama this year.
Then you also got like Hugh Freeze is always good for an Alabama scare.
I know, right?
And then the Ole Miss game sometimes can come up and bite Alabama too.
And that's their first conference game is Ole Miss. It's at home, but
Alabama will always be stacked. We know that. They will always have dudes on that team, 5 stars all over the place, but they legitimately have a question at quarterback right now.
Yeah.
I don't think Milroe's good at all. I don't know enough about the Simpson kid, what he's done this past year to get better. And the guy from Notre Dame, Tyler Buckner, like there's a reason that he left Notre Dame because the what was the kid from Wake Forest? Can't think of his name right now, but
Sam Hartman, right?
Hartman, yeah, he went up there, and there was no prayer of Buckner starting. So I don't think anybody in those three is going to step up and be that SEC, first, second team quarterback. But every time I say that, I do remind people that Greg McElroy and AJ McCarron also won national championships at Alabama. So you don't have to be elite at quarterback there, but we'll see. But I do have serious questions about Bama's quarterback for sure.
How many losses do you think it would take for Saban to retire?
I'm kind of done answering that question. I just assume he's going to be around forever. Like I'm done speculating on Nick Saban's tenure. Anytime I'm asked, I'm just like, yeah, he's going to take. What were we looking at a couple days ago? I think that they are scheduled to play, who is it, Arizona in 2033. And I'm like, Nick Saban is absolutely going to take Alabama to Arizona in 2033. So no, that's sarcasm, obviously. But no, if he does, let's say he loses those 3 games I just threw out there, that's going to start raising a lot of questions for Nick, is it not? I mean,
yeah,
you got to think that sunset has got to happen sometime. I saw the message board geniuses or something that didn't Nick and what's his wife Terry, they just bought like a $17 million house in Florida.
I was just about to say, yeah.
You got to start wondering if Miss Terry is ready to have Nick at home a little bit,
Yeah,
he's not getting young.
Good.
Not at all.
Well, I'm interested to see how how prominent the transfers are for them, because to flip it around, I just think back to 2016, year one with Kirby, and we had Maurice Smith transferred from Alabama, came with Kirby, and it was instantly the best player on our defense. And it was wow. And that kind of showed me how far behind we were. But now, I'm really going to be watching Tresman Marshall this year and see what he's doing at Alabama. Is he starting? Have we gone in the opposite direction,
Yep.
So,
I mean, what was he, a 4th year, maybe even a 5th year? He's been around forever, it seems like. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and I'm not even trying to be Georgia Homer, but he definitely left because of the depth chart here. I mean, he just did everything he could do here, and he went to Alabama and saw better opportunities. So I wish him luck, but just not against us. That's all I can say.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, he'd be curious for sure.
So Carter has to go to bed.
Oh no, 9:30.
We're gonna let him lead us out. What's the prognosis on Georgia's season?
Let's go Dogs, baby.
That's right.
Are you predicting another undefeated season?
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, at least he didn't go, well, I see 9-3. Hugh Freeze is going to nip us over there in Auburn. Tennessee's going to get that revenge, and, good luck against Ole Miss. At least he didn't say that.
Well, any remarks or thoughts on the season?
I just said
it. Anything
Carter.
else? Anything else?
Carter, here's a trivia question before you go. Do you know the one SEC team that Kirby Smart has not beaten at Georgia? There's only one.
Alabama, right?
Now, we beat Alabama 33-18, baby.
Well,
oh, wait, yeah.
There's only one. He's 0-1 against this team.
0-1. What do you think?
South Carolina?
Nah, we whipped South Carolina last year big time. Ole Miss. He's never beaten Ole Miss.
Well, sorry, I was just listening to my mom.
All good, man.
Terrible advice.
So remember year 1, 2016, we went to the Grove, had that early kickoff, and they
you can't end on that. Ask me another one.
Well, I was going to say that's going to be awesome for senior day this year. Ole Miss is coming to Athens, so we will finish the SEC by beating them that night. How sweet is that? That's what I'm talking about.
You don't want to end on that, so you want him to ask you a different one.
Ask me a different question.
What's another trivia question I can come up with? All right, here's a good one. And this I'll actually kind of bring in one of our listener questions if you don't mind.
Go for it.
We'll see if Carter can get this. I'd have to go pull it up. Maybe Jim's looking at it right now. Somebody asked if Brock Bowers will throw a touchdown pass, right? All right, Carter, here's your trivia question. You ready for it? Who is the last Georgia Bulldog that rushed, received, and passed for a touchdown in the same season? So they caught a touchdown pass, they rushed for a touchdown, and they threw a touchdown pass all in the same season. Do you know?
I think I know.
Gosh.
Say that.
You don't have to go far. It's in 2021. I'll give you that hint. It was
That's
the first national championship.
Donnie Mitchell? AD Mitchell?
No, he was part of one of the plays we'll talk about in a second.
I know Jordan Davis did a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, but he definitely didn't pass for a touchdown. That would have been kind of sweet. Kenny McIntosh.
Yeah, I know he threw a touchdown
He also, throughout the regular season, he rushed for several. Then he caught a couple of catch and runs also.
There you go.
Nice. That's a good one.
And if you go back prior to that, you got to go to Terry Godwin in 2015. Was that 2015?
I think that was 15.
Yeah. His first touchdown was against Kentucky. It was like a wild dog direct snap. Then
he fumbled it. I think he fumbled the snap, picked it up, and ran for a touchdown.
Yeah. then he caught one. Then remember he threw the touchdown pass against Penn State to Malcolm Mitchell.
Oh, that's right. Wow.
So there you go. There's Carter. Take that to school tomorrow and impress the girls, man.
Impress the girls.
That's called an icebreaker right there, Carter.
Come listen to my dad's podcast.
Exactly. He's getting it now.
There we go.
I bet that works really well at school.
Sixth grade girls love Georgia football deep stats, man.
I'm sure.
That's how you get them.
Carter, look, you gotta walk into school and tell them that you're on a t-shirt. You got your own sorry Carter t-shirt.
I got my own ad campaign.
There you go.
I love it.
Amazing.
All right. Off to bed. Sixth grade awaits.
Sorry,
See
Carter.
Go Gator.
So on that, Logan, so what is, I didn't know if I wanted to address this with Carter while he was on or not. I didn't know if I wanted to dash his hopes or anything. So what's the status of the second string? What's the deal? The cheeseheads want to know.
We all hate Walker now. Walker's the devil. Now, Walker had to go do what Walker had to do, man. His wife was working so hard to get that doctorate degree her doctorate, and took a job up in North Carolina. So unfortunately, I'm podcast partnerless at the moment. Walker will chime in from time to time. He's not going to be able to do it every single week, but
right.
I'm thinking maybe in the next few weeks we'll have just sort of a random episode drop. I'll get him on the phone and do like a, hey, the season's here type thing. I absolutely want to get something more permanent, but I just don't have many resources at the moment.
Right.
You'd be surprised how few people actually work at our radio stations right now. And a lot of them, believe it or not, are just not sports people whatsoever. I mean, like we only have the one live show on the Ref now, me and Dave.
Yeah.
And there's really not that many in-studio resources. So I've got some ideas that I'm not like nothing really in the works right now, but I absolutely want to get it cranked up here pretty soon. So hopefully there's something. But like I said, we will have Walker drop in from time to time. We've not heard the last of me and Walker and Kareem doing our thing. It'll just a little more sporadic, which is fine. But I'll tell you what, man, while we're on that note, Walker is awesome. And working with him the last, 4.5 years, I think we figured out, did well over almost 300 episodes. And he was fun, man. I feel like we had good chemistry. We had a good time. We definitely brought the lightheartedness to all of our topics. And it's going to be hard to replace him. In fact, I won't replace Walker. You can't. I mean, it's just one of those things where like he was the perfect podcast partner, but he had to follow life, and I totally get that, man. So we'll see. As soon as I know something, I'll let Carter break the news when I know something.
He was the Brock Bowers to your Stetson Bennett, huh?
I'm telling you, man. Or he was the AD Mitchell to Kenny McIntosh. How about that?
There you go.
But it was good. I mean, it really did. We made so many connections. I mean, I include you guys on that. Like we've made podcast friends throughout the years, and a lot of people that, y'all know as well as I, doing these kind of things connects you to a lot of community.
Yeah.
And we did build a good following, the Cheeseheads, and I just begged them to hold on. We will get something cranked up again eventually, but we'll figure it out.
I have to say that you guys were definitely a part of the catalyst of this podcast. So deeply indebted to you guys, just because when we talked about the style of what we wanted to do, it was you guys that we kind of had in mind as far as what we wanted to do. And then, just thanking you guys for the dedication to do it for so long.
I appreciate that. That's nice to say.
I know that like in this season of life for the last several years, however long, I can't even remember when Carter started listening to you guys, but like it's definitely been a part of our lore. So I think I speak for a lot of other folks, that this it's very much appreciated.
Well, we appreciate that, man. It was fun. And like I said, we'll get some more. We have not heard the end. I have not trashed the soundboard just yet. So that's that legendary soundboard that I will never get rid of. So in fact, while it's sitting idle, I can absolutely kind of send y'all some hotkeys here and there if you guys want to incorporate them. Y'all
I was just about to say,
please feel free.
Do you license them out?
No, that's always been a fear that someone's going to ask us for the license one day. That one day Kareem Brown is going to discover our podcast, and the lawsuit's going to be immedially after that. So don't say anything to her if you don't mind.
That's kind of how we felt. That's kind of how we felt about the My God Podcast logo for a while there. Until the family member of the Munson family basically said it was okay.
We do know somebody. They're like, we love the logo.
Always some comfort, man.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. That was good to hear. I just had to ask. I know Carter got a pretty sweet shout out on the final episode. That I was, nice. And I was mowing the lawn actually, as that's one of my primary podcast listening times. Yeah, man. And I texted John and I was like, John, has Carter listened to the last second thing? I was like, they gave him a shout out. I was like, he's gonna freak out.
That's awesome.
He did. He was like, did they say my name?
Well, he gave us that awesome Carter intro, man. That was sweet too.
That was good stuff.
Amazing.
I know, like originally I had said, before we had our weather delay, we were going to talk media days, but I don't know at this point if there's a whole lot to say from that. I don't know. Did you pick up anything, Logan? I mean, as someone who has attended media days in the past, anything stand out to you?
Really, just Kirby being Kirby, man. Like that dude knows how to win a podium. He knows how to stand in front of something and sell his program and let everybody know that, hey, it's and he acknowledged at some point, it's been a long summer. I think it was Pat Forty that asked him the question about the off-field things. But surprisingly, and I was very surprised by this, that I think there were 13 questions somebody pointed out on the podium itself. And only one of them happened to be about, speeding or off-field issues. And it was Pat Forty of Yahoo, one of the national writers that, his name. But other than that, it was back to football. That was my takeaway, is that for Kirby, for the players, for the media, the beat writers that are there, for us, the fans, it was really nice to talk football again. I know I'm not in the category of someone that has dwelled on this whole off-field issues all summer long. It happens. And something very, very tragic happened back in January, and they paid dearly for that. And then, they can't get the speeding under control elsewhere, but it really is like back to football now. It felt like it was what media days really is, that unofficial kickoff to the season. So that was nice. And Brock Bowers, as you guys, I'm sure, saw many clips of him. The dude doesn't talk. He's just very, very, very shy. Yeah. He's the epitome of like the low hanging fruit joke is the Clark Kent Superman. He's like this, very humble. I don't want to use the word nerd, but he's just kind of a goofy kid that you would never suspect. If Brock Bowers walked up to you in like an airport, you're hanging out, like talking to him, and then he dropped in, "Oh yeah, I'm an All-American tight end at the University of Georgia." You'd be like, "No, you're not. Stop. No way. Like you may play for like Toledo or something, but you don't play for Georgia." But man, when those pads go on, he's just a different cat. So to see him kind of come out of his shell just a little bit, that we've never seen before. I mean, we've had him for a couple sentences here and there after a football game, but that was a brand new thing for everybody to listen to Brock. And he still was timid and shy, but I thought he did fantastic. He was good. So yeah, I mean, it was just like I said, there was really no news out of media days. I know Kirby did confirm some of the injuries that we had sort of read about here and there. And unfortunately, it does not sound like Branson Robinson's going to be ready for the season. Had foot issue back in the spring, apparently pretty serious. And sounds like Munden, Smile Munden, who we all know is, a future All-American. That dude is awesome, man. But he's probably going to miss some time too. But if there was ever a schedule, and I'm not trying to belittle the schedule like our rivals do, but if there was ever a schedule we can manage, like a slow start, we got that. So they're not going to the season is not derailed because a couple of guys won't be healthy to start it up. Everybody that's we need is going to be out there, so that's good. But
you just call on another 5-star recruit to take their place.
It's funny, like all the you guys know as well as I, rivals all over the place. What was the knock? It used to be like, oh, you guys got all those 5 stars and can't do anything with them. It's like, well, now we got 5 stars and we win national championships and we got more 5 stars. So your nightmare has come true.
Yeah, exactly.
We're enjoying it right now, man. So yeah, we are deep at every position. Keep Kendall Milton healthy and we'll be fine. Yeah. And some of those inside linebackers, like CJ Allen, you said you watched some of the spring game, Jim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That dude just stood out, man. I mean, he's supposed to be at prom and he's out there like looking like an All-American already at G-Day. So we're going to be fine with injuries. It's going to be a good start of the season, man.
It's funny that you mentioned the Brock Bowers stuff because like I remember seeing British Bulldog like when he like randomly ran into Brock and I think it was who was the other? It was Delph. He ran into Delph and Brock outside of a Raising Cane's and took a picture with them. And I remember thinking the same thing like wow, he just looks like a normal tall dude.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's weird. I'm not trying to be creepy, but there's some people that, like, when they're wearing normal, like, nice clothes, dress clothes, whatever, you don't recognize, like, how ripped they are. Then they, like, get into football mode or they take their shirt off at a pool or something. You're just like, I did not see that coming. Like, that's Brock Bowers, man. He's sneaky, just, like, big, strong, crazy athletic dude. So on football game days, he's just a different animal, man. So
he's not Ben Watson when it's obvious all the time.
But I mean, I do think Brock is the best tight end we've ever had. I think that conversation's already done. I don't care what he does this year. And I think Mike Bobo has big plans for Brock. I think you're going to see a statistical, just phenomenal year for him. He may, to the listener's question, I do think there's like some fun packages for Brock because he's earned that. You know what I'm saying? If we're ever up in a game in the second, maybe third quarter, I absolutely think we could do one of those little end arounds that he runs and all of a sudden pull the trigger arm out, see if he can find Rosemy Jack Saint or something downfield. That'd be kind of fun.
Nice.
But I think he's the best, man. You think about he's played in 2 national championship games, has caught a touchdown in both of them, and won both of those games. And there's a very real chance he could do that for a third time. If that happens, are we actually going to like unseat Herschel as the best player of all time? I mean, like, it's going to be hard to argue against Brock if he does that, is it not?
I hadn't even really thought of it because I mean, we had talked about like GOAT stuff and Stetson, right, with 2, but different conversation, right? That's just like kind of greatness, not like individual eliteness or whatever. But I mean, Brock's got to be. I'll tell you this too, that like I've said it before. Like, you're telling me that like Brock Bowers. Like, don't tell me he would not have been an amazing tailback in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he totally could do that.
Well, he took running back snaps at spring because we were so shorthanded. And someone was talking to Kirby recently at a golf tournament, and Kirby was like, yeah, he was taking snaps, and he was actually pretty good at running the balls. But I don't think you're going to see that this season. But I mean, other than the end arounds that we have him run, but I don't think he's ever going to line up in the I formation. I don't see that. But yeah, to your point, absolutely, him as a running back with those like big giant shoulder pads and that old school fishnet jersey with his belly hanging out, dude. That he'd be a solid 80s running back, man, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He has those runs where like the guy has the angle and they inexplicably don't get him, just like what Herschel used to do. So no, that's a good point.
I was not at the game. Let's see, this was 2021 when we beat Georgia Tech 45-0 down there in Atlanta. And I was actually on my couch. I was still doing like social media tweeting and stuff for 960 the ref, like I do. Even if I'm not at the game, I'll dial that up. And I have this like StatCast that we can log into. You guys may have access to that too. Like during the game, you can log into a up to the minute stats and plays and all that. So everything like a scorebook, a live scorebook.
Yeah.
And it's streaming. You're a little bit behind, as you know, like maybe 20, 30 seconds at the most. Well, when I was there, I think Georgia had the ball at like the 20-yard line, their own 20. So there's like 80 yards in front of them. And I accidentally saw the StatCast update and it said touchdown Georgia. And I was like, what? And I didn't know what it was, so I kind of just like hit it real quick, and then like they threw the ball to Brock. And to your point, Jim, like there were like 6 Yellow Jackets that should have tackled him.
Yeah,
but he's just gone. I mean, it's just down the middle, just so impressive what he does with the football, man. So He's special. We need to really appreciate him this year, even if the schedule winds up being a little bit of a dud. It's not our fault, by the way, but if it winds up being a whole lot of lopsided games and maybe we don't have the drama, maybe we don't have the big moments in the regular season, I really want to like implore all of us and all Georgia fans, like enjoy every moment you have with Brock, because that's going to be one of those dudes you're going to tell your grandkids about one day, that you got to see Brock do his thing. And can't wait to see what he does at the next level too, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard some folks talk about like with the lack of with Darnell moving on and that kind of thing, like, hey, are people going to like key in on Brock and his reps and his receptions are going to get cut down. Like we're talking about we have a whole host of other tight ends and a whole host of other folks that can step into that quote unquote Darnell role, but like Mike Bobo is going to be stepping in to call the plays, right? Well, I'm going to rattle off a couple of tight ends that you maybe recall from the last time that Mike Bobo was around helping the tight ends to do the things. You got Aaron White, you got Orson Charles, you got Jay Rome, you got Arthur Lynch, just to name a few. Like those guys did okay,
Yeah. Very much. Absolutely.
And they didn't have near the surrounding cast that we've got today. So I don't know. I don't know that I buy the whole like, oh yeah, his reps are going to get cut. Like you can't stop a freight train.
Yeah. Well, also back in those days too, remember, I absolutely will staunchly say this will be the best offensive line that Georgia's ever had with Mike Bobo. That was one of Mark Richt era's deficiencies, was you always had like one or two really capable offensive linemen and then a bunch of guys that may not be, what the caliber, what we're used to today. So I think that's going to help out in a big way too, is just having the protection, having the scheme, knowing what they're doing there on that line to let Brock do his thing. I know Darnell was a huge blocker when it came to that, but I think these other tight ends are absolutely going to be able to fill that role. But yeah, Bobo would be a fool if he didn't have a whole bunch of plays lined up for Brock already, man. He's going to get his.
Well, and it's not like, defenses weren't trying to key on Brock last year. I mean, that's been happening since at least like the last quarter, maybe of this freshman season. Like, sure, Clemson, but like after that, like by the middle of his freshman year, people were already.
I guess Ohio State had the best success because remember watching the game, watch the replay where was it Herbstreit's like, I don't know why they're not throwing to him. It's like because he's double teamed. Finally got open kind of late in the game and they were able to make it work, but. Yeah, they had the most success trying to stop him, but he still, when it mattered the most, he had a couple good catches down that stretch, man. So, and that ridiculous, I call it the twister play or the yoga play, whatever you want to call me. That saved the season. You could circle 7 different things that saved the season that game, but that was one of them. How he did that, I have no idea. Kept that ball in bounds.
It makes no sense.
It defies physics.
I don't know, man. It's. Some people just have instincts and know what to do with their body. I don't. I would look like a fool rolling all over the ground that play. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Imagine if there was no replay too.
I know.
I know people get mad about it slowing down the game, but that's I don't know. That's exhibit A to me of why you do.
I mean, I think you should use technology to its advantages when you can.
Yeah. Seriously. Well, so Logan, what's your outlook for Bobo? We've talked about him a little bit. Does the Monken to Bobo transition concern you at all?
No, not at all. If you watched, let's say we were in Mike Bobo's shoes and you watched Todd Monken under his tutelage, if you would, do what he did last year, you'd be a fool not to adopt a lot of those wrinkles, take on some philosophies. I'm sure the playbook's not going to change very much. The verbiage is not going to change very much. No, I thought Bobo was extremely underrated when he was at Georgia, I think. And here's the thing. I think that his time at Georgia, unfortunately, for a lot of people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, they could not escape what happened in South Carolina 2014.
I knew that was going.
That's where the whole run the damn ball Bobo thing came from. And look, that was a game that pitted, a good, not great. Oh yeah, look at there you go. They'd run the dang ball. John's showing off his hat here, but yeah, it's I don't know. You had Todd Gurley at the line, and we can go down and recite the scenario. We had an interception. We were down by I think 7 at the time. whatever it was, whatever the scenario was. We get the ball down at the goal line, and he runs the fake to Gurley, and he was it Hudson Mason runs to his right, and then it was the intentional grounding. And then you're backed up a little bit, and then so on. And then from that one play, so many Georgia fans wanted to forget about the ridiculous stats that Bobo put up for years, those crooked numbers, that massive offense over the one little faux pas. And it goes even further for me that if that play had worked, let's say Hudson does roll to his right and he finds an Arthur Lynch or somebody in the end zone, we are screaming that Bobo's the biggest genius that's ever come to Athens. He took a shot on something, it collapsed, it melted down, and for a lot of people out there, they just can't get past that. And I don't think that's fair, to be honest with you. I think Bobo was a phenomenal offensive coordinator, and he'll be just fine. And Jim, you said it a minute ago, man, Bobo has never had the weapons and the offensive line that he has now, and it's going to be a absolutely seamless transition, in my opinion. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Monken was basically like singing Bobo's praises because there was like that one play. I can't remember which one it was, but he was like, "Well, that was Mike Bobo came up with that play."
yeah.
But to your point, like an SEC offensive coordinator's job in the SEC is like the most unforgiving position in college football because. Like there were people that were still calling for Monken's head because Stetson was starting, they were just unhappy just to be unhappy.
And I love that the gang's back together too, man. I love that Kirby's the head dog. I love that Bobo's back. I love that Will Muschamp, secret agent Muschamp, has gone and destroyed. Where did he go? He went to Texas first, and he went to Florida to South Carolina. And now he's back home. He did his job. But I think he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. I really do. He never failed at a defensive coordinator. He never handled the CEO head job. A lot of people have gone that same route. I think these three right now are so happy together. And I wish I could see it with no cameras, no journalists, no nothing. I want to see what it's like in the living room of some of these South Georgia kids when the three of them go recruit. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be off.
Oh,
it has to be just a phenomenal thing.
I can't imagine. I mean, and just to go from, those three guys were sitting at Allen's having a hamburger and a beer, back in the 90s. And now they're running their alma mater, this football program. It's, it's got to be a dream come true kind of stuff.
I would be surprised if ESPN, if Game Day doesn't come to town and they don't have some kind of segment on that story. If they don't, we need to get someone at the university to get off their
So if game day comes this year, what game would it be?
Well, I mean,
I don't know if we have one.
Or if we're on. Yeah.
I guess if South Carolina whips up on North Carolina week 1, maybe there's a little bit of interest in coming to RTC South Carolina, but I'm not counting on that. I mean, I'd have to go look and see the other games on the schedule. I think, is that Ohio State Notre Dame? I think that's that weekend. So you can rule it out. Maybe Ole Miss will surprise us like Kentucky and Arkansas did a few years ago. Yeah. Maybe Ole Miss will have a really good year. They'll be, whatever in 1, then they'll come here. Maybe we'll get game day, but I'm not making game day plans this year. I don't think they're coming around, unfortunately.
No.
There's some folks that are saying that Missouri could be the hotness this year.
That's
right?
actually true. I think we do this thing. We are not unique to this on the morning show, but me and Dave both have a Phil Steele magazine, and we spin the wheel. We hit a random generator, and we'll come up with a number on Phil's power poll. Then we'll flip to that page, and we'll just spend a few minutes picking apart that team and just kind of coming up with nuggets, coming up with whatever we can. And we got to Missouri a couple of days ago, and forgive me, I don't have their schedule in front of me right now, but they absolutely could be undefeated when they come to Athens. I forgot who they're playing. I don't have a helmet schedule right here, but I guess I can pull it up while I'm talking. But yeah, they very much could come to Athens with no losses. And maybe that'll be, College Game Day does want to come see the champs. I believe that. I don't think they avoid Georgia like a lot of us people believe.
LSU and Kentucky are their biggest roadblocks ahead of Georgia. They got South Dakota, the Coyotes, Middle Tennessee State, Kansas State, but that's at home.
Okay.
Memphis, Vanderbilt, LSU, Kentucky, South Carolina. That's their slate ahead of the Georgia game.
So LSU is going to be really tough to figure that one out.
They get LSU at home though.
Yeah, I mean that. But there's the thing: if they are undefeated, that means they would have already knocked off a team like LSU, make them even more intriguing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe
exactly.
it kind of hinges on October 7th what happens against Missouri. But hey, I'm all for it, man. Go Cats. Go make it happen.
Yeah,
the other one could potentially be Ole Miss if one of those upsets like at Alabama or whatever. I mean, they have a gauntlet that they've got.
Yeah,
they play Georgia Tech, they play Alabama, they play LSU, they play Auburn. Arkansas.
It just feels like every year when we do complain about the home schedule, the big game is not who you thought it was going to be, kind of deal. Like you mentioned that Arkansas game, right? I mean, who in the world would have thought that would have been as hyped as it was, right?
One of my favorite. I remember it's ironically, but so my brother lives out in Utah. That's why I go out there a couple times a year. But I was in Utah a little bit later than normal back in 2021. It was like mid-September, and I was out there when they announced the kickoff time for Arkansas. And I remember being like, I remember vividly driving in the car, opened up, I was like, really, noon? You got to be kidding me! Like number 1 versus number 8. Like, why is this not a night game? And little did we know then that we were in for the best noon atmosphere that we've ever had in Sanford Stadium. I can't describe it. I mean, if you guys were there, right?
I was there. It was unreal.
How did that happen? I have no explanation.
We had the whole family there, so we brought both of our girls, which is not, they usually don't want to go. That was the game we took them to. Like, nooner, like whatever. And I had my Beats headphones because I still try to listen to the radio in the stadium, and I was trying this like Bluetooth setup. It didn't work, but they're noise canceling, and so both my girls were fighting over my noise canceling headphones because it was so loud, like they had a headache. So
it was awesome, man, absolutely awesome. But yeah, there will be a surprise team on the schedule. Could it be a Kentucky? Could it be an Ole Miss? Could it be?
Yeah,
South Carolina's a little bit too early. There's not enough time to get the hype involved, but yeah, we'll be just fine at home this year. Who cares what the other people are saying about our schedule? I would have loved to have gone to Oklahoma. I wish that would have, but it didn't, and it is what it is, and we'll go from there. But it's our opponent's fault. Blame South Carolina, blame Auburn, blame Florida, blame these guys for not being better. And you say, oh well, it actually is Georgia's fault because we out recruit, we outwork, we out prepare, we outplay, we kick their ass on the field. And then they're the ones that kick and scream and cry and call our schedule weak. I mean, it's look in the mirror. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I hope our schedule's weak for the rest of my life because that means Kirby's doing it right.
Well, and if you give random other team in college football our schedule, it doesn't look so easy. It looks so easy because we're the ones playing it.
I love that was one of Kirby's media day quotes. He's like, if you think our schedule's tough, come play it. It's like, I hear you, man. There's a lot of teams out there that we're not. That's not targeted to Alabama or Ohio State or Clemson. Even that's geared toward the Auburn fan that wants to run their mouth. I mean, come play our schedule, see what happens.
Yeah,
we can't play ourselves. I'm sorry. So who cares? I've gotten so like untriggered by that whole argument now. It just kind of feeds my soul every time I see it. So it's all good.
I've got one thing to throw out there in terms of like that. What game could our game be like? Kentucky's schedule prior to the Georgia game sets them up to potentially be undefeated coming into Georgia. They're preseason number 24, I think. So if they're undefeated, that could be a potential game too. And that would be a game of two unbeatens. But there are the Red River rivalry. I don't know if game day is going to be there. Oklahoma, Texas plays that year. That weekend, Alabama, Texas A&M. But that could be a game of two unbeatens.
Yeah, and I got to backtrack a little bit. When we said that about Missouri, I had a brain fart. It was Kentucky we talked about.
Okay.
And that makes more sense because once I saw LSU, I was like, no, I surely didn't think that Missouri's going to beat LSU. But yes, Kentucky's schedule absolutely. And to John's point there, they're already sort of preseason kind of on the cusp of the rankings. That could put them up there in the they were 11 when they came here in 21, and I could see them in the 15-ish range if they win those games. Why not? You never know.
Yeah.
I'll throw a real big curveball at you and see what y'all think about this. If you can pull it up, is the world ready for an undefeated Vanderbilt to come to Georgia? For us to go to Nashville? Yeah, I know you're laughing, but pull that schedule up and let's break this down game by game for just a second because it's a little bit more manageable than you might think. So if
they run this table, it's going to be so amazing. Go ahead.
How amazing would it be? So week 1, Vanderbilt's going to be hosting Hawaii. That's actually week 0. August 26th. They hung 63 on the Warriors last year in Hawaii. They're going to win that game.
Yes.
Then they host Alabama A&M. Okay, that's a win, right? We're not going to argue that, are we? They're 2-0.
Right.
They're going to go to Wake Forest, and Sam Hartman is no longer there. I don't trust Wake Forest to be good every single year. They're either like sneaky good, or they're not at all. I think Vanderbilt springs an upset in Wake Forest. Then they go out to the desert and play a really terrible UNLV team. That's not a good team. They're 4-0, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next week, they're going to host Kentucky. Guess what they did in Lexington last year with Will Levis? They beat Kentucky last year. So why could they not do it again? So that puts them at 5-0. Then they got Missouri, who you never know. That's a coin flip, is it not? I mean, I don't think they're going to beat Missouri, but they could. And then Florida, I think, is absolute hot garbage this year. And then we go there. They could be 7-0, guys. Did the math right? They could be 7-0 when we go to Nashville.
That would be amazing.
How fun would that be?
That would be amazing.
Undefeated teams playing in a high school stadium.
Have I sold anybody on this? Is anybody buying the Logan Booker Vandy special, man?
Let me tell you how pissed they're going to be if that does happen. Their stadium is like in complete shambles.
Yes.
All right, so here's the question. Let's say that happens. Vandy has run the table. Georgia goes to Vanderbilt. Is the stadium still like 80% red?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're not going to be bought in. And it like you said, it's under massive construction right now. I think that's one of those games, honestly, that Georgia fans have already got tickets to. We don't just go on a whim.
Most people already have tickets that I know of. Yeah,
that's one of those like every other year traditions for a lot of fan groups or like groups of friends that do that every year. So they've already got tickets to it.
Yeah.
So I still think Georgia does the takeover in that case. So I don't know, 7-0, no. 6-1, probably not. 5-2, yeah. Let's buy 5-2. Let's go 5-2, Vandy. Why not? Do you guys also know the number that Georgia has currently scored 126 consecutive points on Vanderbilt? Isn't that crazy?
What?
Yeah. So we beat them. What was it? 55-0 last year, 63-0 the year before. Then we scored the final 9 in 2019 before the game was over. So we have scored whatever that. I know the number. I may have said the scores wrong, but we have scored 126 straight points on Vandy. Can we grow that to 150?
I'm just saying. People wanted to say that the Georgia coaches and players didn't care about Vanderbilt canceling the 2020 game. I beg to differ.
Kirby care.
I beg to differ.
That 35-0 first quarter in 2021, that was absolutely a statement, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he just did it again the next year. Why not? So,
and that was this last year. That was the Bulldogs battling breast cancer points pledge. So I know Dwight over there thoroughly enjoyed that.
That's awesome.
Do you think that Kirby has like a little bit of a, I don't know, quiet rivalry with what's the guy's name? Clark Lee? Clark Lee.
Yeah.
Didn't he make a like little kind of dig at him at media days as well? Like after Clark's filibuster or something like that?
Yeah, I think he probably made a little joke. But remember, it wasn't Clark Lee that didn't come to Vandy or to Georgia.
Yeah,
back in the COVID year. Who was it that got fired eventually? I forgot who the coach was.
Derek Mason?
Who was it?
Was it Mason?
No, he was gone for a while. I cannot remember who the Vandy coach was, to be honest with you. But it was not Clark Lee. Clark Lee's first year was 2022. This is actually year 2 for Clark Lee coming up.
But didn't Clark Lee come on like right at the end though? Didn't he actually start in the middle? I think he
started
Mason.
In December.
I thought Mason.
Yeah, he replaced Derek Mason. Yeah.
So it was Mason. Okay, my apologies. I'm not even.
But it might have even been Lee because like it was an actual like mid-year transition that year.
Okay.
So yeah. But yeah, which I also feel like he looks kind of like Brad Guzan. But that's neither here nor there.
Jim got me on that one.
Vanderbilt. Have y'all been to Vandy for a game?
I have, but not since college. So not since like 2000.
It's a great trip. I hate that we're probably going to lose them as an annual rival. I mean, not rival, but an annual matchup because it is such a fun trip. One of my like pet peeves, I hate hearing anybody like a Georgia fan make the joke of like, yeah, we got to get rid of Vandy in the SEC. Like, no, we don't. They're perfect. They're the greatest addition to our conference that doesn't matter because it's Nashville, which is a wonderful city. Love going there. It's pretty much a guaranteed win when you go. I mean, we've lost a couple here and there, but it's just a good trip with your buds, and it's a good place, man. So never, ever, ever get rid of Vandy, and they bolster our academic averages so high, man. So we appreciate them for that.
No, Missouri is the team to get rid of. Missouri is the team to get rid of.
They do nothing for me. Nothing.
They really do.
I've never been to Missouri. My in-laws have. They were not very impressed. But yeah, I've been a lot of places, but I've never been to Gainesville, and I hope never to. But I also hope to never go to Columbia, Missouri. I just have no interest whatsoever.
Yeah, me neither.
I love traveling with the dogs, and that's one thing. But like, if I never hop on a plane to go to Missouri, I'm fine.
Well, they're in the Midwest. It's not exactly. It's not the Southeast. I don't
get rid of them.
For the fact checkers that are out there, it was Derek Mason. Derek Mason was fired at the end of November, and Clark Leah took over in December.
Okay.
I didn't
realize that.
All right, but okay, we can move on. But my question is: remember, everything was delayed, and that was supposed to be like our last game. So it's possible that game was scheduled for December because it was SEC only schedule and all that kind of stuff. But I digress.
I've got it in a shoebox here. I'm not going to try to dig through it. But one thing I thought this was kind of neat that after the COVID,
you're right.
The COVID year sucked. I mean, I hate everything about the COVID year, but that game for Vanderbilt. So that year they did not give media all the credentials at once. They kind of gave it to you game by game because they didn't know what games were going to happen and where they were going to be. So they kind of waited and said, all right, we'll put them in the mail for your game coming up this week. Claude Felton, you know who Claude is, the SID.
Oh, yeah.
He, I guess he did this for most or all media randomly after the season was over. This was like in the spring already of 21. I get a letter in the mail, a little package from the University of Georgia sports media department, and it's the credential for the Vandy game. And it was just a really short write-up from Claude that just says, hey, just thought you may want to have a little memento from the game that never happened. And it was like, that's kind of cool. I mean, like, is it a bad memory? Sure, but it's also a kind of a cool, rare artifact. You know what I mean? It's like it's a credential for a game that never took place.
The game that never took place.
Yeah, which is cool. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around that there were games that didn't happen because that doesn't happen, you know?
It feels like a lifetime ago thinking back on all those things. But Jim is correct. It was December 19th and it was canceled. So it was not Derek Mason.
Yeah, man.
I'm good for something. That was a game that it was played 0 times, but we previewed it twice on this.
Right. Amazing. Maybe they listened to y'all and they're like, we're not going down to Athens, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Kick our butts.
Seriously. I know, Logan, you got a morning show to get to in the morning. You want to? You guys want to hit some of these listener questions?
Yeah, I definitely want to answer some of those. I saw them on Twitter. There's some good ones.
There were some good questions.
All right, so I bundled the first few because there was some uniform Twitter, and I feel like the first one is kind of easy. So John Michael D said, "Is uniform Twitter dead now outside of recruiting photos?" And he tagged friend of the show, Hunter, also designer of the Cheesehead sticker.
He's brilliant, man.
But so I will say my preface to answering this is it's not totally dead because we got 3 uniform questions for the podcast.
Twitter's not dead. I think Kirby may be uninterested right now, but that's a different level.
Oh wait, I was about to say, did Hunter like die overnight? Like he's not going anywhere.
Although, is it uniform Twitter or is it uniform X? I don't even know what. Sorry, we don't need to talk about
these things. These things don't need to be discussed.
Hey, here's I don't know if y'all saw this or not. Do you guys? The X and Twitter. Forget that, man. Do you guys follow the UGA equipment account?
Yes. It's so amazing.
Did you notice about a month ago they had this real short video of them like hanging up a jersey or two, and the caption or something said a new jersey for Harry Dog coming this year, but they didn't really show anything or like elaborate. And I don't know if it's going to be like a drastic change or if it's just something little tweak here and there. I'm anxious to see it because I have no idea. I haven't gotten any inside info at all on what it is.
I missed that.
But
interesting. We need to exercise some resources there, Jim.
Yeah, we hit up some inside sources.
Make some calls, man. As far as uniform Twitter, no, it's alive and well. I love talking uniforms, but I don't I don't think I think we're all wasting our time if any of us get excited at all about any rumor we hear. I don't think Kirby's interested anytime soon. I kind of feel like, and I don't even know if it's a superstition or if he just realizes that, like, hey, there's no need to change a damn thing in the short term.
Exactly.
We have the potential to be the first team to win back-to-back champions since Minnesota in the pre-modern era. I don't think he's going to get cute ever. Now, when this streak, if you want to refer to it as that, eventually, believe it or not, are y'all sitting down? I know you just took a big swig of your drink, John. We're just going to lose a football game at some point.
What?
I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And Georgia's not going to win a championship some season in the near future. It's going to be wild.
It may be in Carter's lifetime.
It's possible. It could be. But I do think that once that takes place and we're sort of back to, all right, let's get ready for another season without all the distraction of, can you three-peat? Can you do this? Can you keep it going? And you're just sort of settled into a season. Then I think we may get those 1980 jerseys that Kirby admitted he loves, by the way, that he wore against Arkansas in 2020, or we may get a random black jersey in a night game. I think that needs to be more normal than it is already. But
so that's a pro segue to the next question, because so from Brett Belding, which shout out Brett, I got to meet Brett in person on Fripp Island over 4th of July. So he said at SEC Media Days on a radio interview, Kirby said they still have the white red 80 throwback uniforms they wore for 2020. That's what you were talking about, Logan. He kind of goes the other way. So I think this is kind of the inverse of what you're saying. He said, how many titles does he need to win or he'll give in and give us an alternate on the field? But you're kind of thinking it's the opposite.
Yeah, I think it's the next season in which Georgia's not defending a national championship. That's a better way to put that. I think that's the next time we'll see an alternate jersey.
That makes sense.
Did y'all hear this? I don't know where I heard it, but I think it's pretty official that Kirby does have that like fun bone in his body. When we were supposed to play Virginia in the year 2020, prior to the COVID just shuffling everything up, my understanding is that those 1980 throwback red pant, white top jerseys, they were supposed to be a run through the tunnel surprise for the fans down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I've heard
they may have even planned on warming up in regular jerseys and then swapping them for the smoke and, hey, it's time to kick off. That I'm pretty of the belief through people I've talked to that was the plan for that. And I'm glad they stuck with them for that Arkansas game because they were a purpose. They were honoring an anniversary of a really good year for Georgia. I know that 1980's become a joke for a lot of people outside of Georgia, but it's okay to be proud of a national championship 40 years ago. And that's what that was. That was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Kirby had that planned, I definitely think in the future he'll do something similar to that again. I just don't think it's going to be this season because there's so much laser focus on doing something unfathomable, and that's the three-peat.
Yeah. So are we coming up on any anniversary?
Yeah, it's the 2-year anniversary of 2021, man. Every other year we can celebrate that. Well, let's see what's this upcoming year. 23 2013 was a good not great season. What happened in 2003? We had a good team in 03.
Yeah, 2003 we went to the SEC championship game and lost it.
93 was we
don't want to talk about 93.
A little bit out of my like memory bank here, but
93 was not so great. 93 was not so great. That was the year after like Hurst and Hastings left. So
no, that was our scientific research of we're not coming up on any anniversary right now.
I would agree with that.
I just wish that we would just go with the blanket. Like this is the rotation. Auburn, Auburn at home, we're in black. Tennessee on the road, we're in red pants, kind of thing.
I think all NFL teams do it, don't they? I know you can pull up on the Falcons website. They'll give you the uniform combo of every single game this upcoming season, every single one.
So what's weird is Georgia, I could be wrong, but Logan, you would know better than I do. I feel like in 2016, we did that. In Kirby's first season, or at a minimum, he said, we will wear the black jerseys. Now, it was against like a directional school. I can't even remember which game it was.
Louisiana Lafayette in November. November.
So, whatever, like not a big game, but we knew before the season started that it was going to happen. I feel like if you demystify it, then like you don't have to, I don't know, because it's all about, to me, like the uniform police, right?
Yeah.
They're the anti-uniform Twitter, and they're
and
the
this
ones you're
goes
going to pile
into-
on if you lose in them,
Yeah, and this kind of goes into my theory is that like at the time Kirby absolutely first year wanted to normalize the black jersey by doing exactly that. Hey, you know what, by the time it's going to be a directional cupcake school the week of Thanksgiving, but here's your black jersey.
Yeah.
And then 17 happened and we got really good. And I think he kind of puckered down into that like all serious mode. And then what was the next time we wore him was Mississippi State against in the COVID year. We wore the jerseys then. And I think that was almost sort of a little treat for the fans that have stuck through COVID, honestly. We got a night game. We knew the jerseys. In fact, before the season started, remember they unveiled the black jersey with the spikes, which I hated, by the way.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not going to sit here and blast anybody that bought those and stuff. Dude, if you love it, you love it. That's great. But I just wasn't a fan of the spikes.
Yeah.
But we wore them for Mississippi State. And then it was by request of the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the Peach Bowl. They love doing a color-on-color scheme. If you ever picked up on that.
Yeah.
Whether it's a preseason, what do they call the Chick-fil-A kickoff game or the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, whoever runs that thing, they love pulling out color on color. Go back and look at Georgia red and Oregon green this past year. I mean, it's just, they asked Cincinnati and Georgia to go black and red, and they did. And it was pretty sweet. It looked pretty good out there. But yeah, that was by request. I just think we're in such all business mode right now that it's going to take a little time.
So, Logan,
I'm throwing it out there.
Do it.
I'm throwing it out there that it could be. Could it be the dunk on Lane to complete the SEC? The SEC, like I don't know what you call it.
Why not?
The Thanos ring.
I guess also was it Auburn has sort of been Kirby. I'm sorry, Hugh Freeze has been one of those Kirby kryptonite things, man. He beat him twice when he was the defensive coordinator at Alabama. Then he beat him. He was the Ole Miss coach when we lost to him so bad in 2016. So maybe we can dunk on Hugh Freeze at some point too, man. And then Auburn's so synonymous with the black jerseys. How about next year we bust them out at home when Auburn comes by?
Yeah, I mean that's my stance. We should wear them at home against Auburn every year, but
for sure,
it'll happen. But so Logan, my trivia question for you, since you had this recorder, is from Kirby's playing days, why does he hate alternate uniforms? Do you know what happened to Kirby?
Wasn't it the 98 Florida game?
Yes.
And he hated those black pants, and I'm with him. They were terrible.
It was that game. It was because they had worn the black pants the year before against Wisconsin in the Outback Bowl, but with white jerseys. And then against Florida in 98, it was red jersey, black pants, and it was not a good look. That was my freshman year. I was there.
Look, I don't love the red pants like a lot of people do. I know that's sort of a hot take, and people will blast me for saying that, but I'm not a fan of the red pants. Some people love them. I don't. I just
I'm not a huge fan either, Logan. Yeah. So I'll jump in there with you. Cheers, I mean, dude. It's not that I hate them, but like it's just like, I could if they never did it again, I wouldn't be upset. The black jerseys upset me.
Wait, so you don't like the black jerseys?
No, it upsets me that we don't have that as regular repertoire.
I misunderstood you. I was about to kick you off the podcast. It's about to be My God, a podcast with Logan and Jim. I'm looking for work right now, man. Now the black jerseys are phenomenal, and back to the spikes again. I don't want to sit here and criticize them. I know that they tried it, but I'm of the belief that you dress as a football player, not as your mascot. It turned into a costume, and I don't need us to dress like little bulldogs all over the field. We don't need that. I mean, should we have put one of the hairy dog tails in the pants that we have when we ran around? Like maybe that would have made that costume even better. But yeah, it looks like, and they did show pictures of the updated block numbers, and the newest version of the black jerseys do not have the collar, and they should. That was good.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
How about a throwback to like the old school with the silver G, with a silver helmet and block G?
I actually think that would be. I wouldn't mind if we did that for homecoming one game and did the silver helmet with a black G. I think that would be pretty cool.
I don't know if Hunter mocked one of those up or if it was somebody else, but I've seen a mock up that looked pretty good.
It would
be pretty sweet.
Yeah, Hunter has done that. Sweet. It would be. Well,
sweet. What was it? Let me do my math. Was it 1928 that Sanford Stadium opened? I think I'm saying that right. 1928.
You're testing us. You're testing us. I'm not Jeff Dantzler. Look.
I know. He'd be mad at us for not knowing this right now. But I think it was 1928. We beat Yale, big time game. They were really good back then. Why not get Yale to come back down in 2028, do 100-year, we'll wear the silver, everything.
How has this not been discussed? Has this been discussed by anyone else? This is an amazing idea.
Before, it's definitely been discussed in our morning show, but I don't think Yale has interest. They're not a paycheck program. Have you seen the endowment at Yale? They're not hurting. They're doing just fine. They don't need to get a paycheck from Georgia so they can afford uniforms, if you know what I'm saying.
But 1929?
Was it 29? Yeah, that sounds right.
The first game in Sanford Stadium.
So get them down in 2029. And they are scheduled in the next 3 or 4 years to go to Georgia Southern. So they will come to Georgia. But will they come to Athens? I doubt it. But that'd be kind of cool if we did convince them to do that.
Doubtful.
Highly doubtful.
Let's see. I think we already answered. We may have answered both of these. So for 51-7 GATA, someone has to ask, will we see the black jerseys this year? I think we're all unanimous no.
But we'd all be happy if we did.
Agreed.
Yes.
What are y'all's thoughts about the part of the schedule with Missouri and Ole Miss? I believe that the schedule will be more difficult than most think, especially those two games, considering they are right before UT. So we didn't talk about that angle of it, of those two back-to-back leading up to that Tennessee game. But yeah, I think that is, I don't know, that stands out to me as the part that could be, again, think it's going to be a bad home schedule. Those are the ones that stand out to me.
I think we're probably recency bias scarred by Missouri. I think we all remember that year where, look, I convinced myself at least 4 different times that, oh my God, we're actually going to lose to Missouri. and then somehow we pulled it off and we avoided a big, giant embarrassment. I just don't see that happening in Sanford Stadium this year in November. That's a really good time slot. I love that early November kickoff. That's a beautiful, beautiful weekend to be in Athens.
Yeah,
it should be coming off another big win over Florida. That'd be a big shock if it's not. The mood's going to be good, and I think Missouri's going to walk into the Hornets' nest, man. That could be one of those 7:30 night games too. It could be a really cool atmosphere. So I don't see Missouri springing that upset this year, and I do think Kirby. I think he thinks of things like we've already talked about. I guarantee that he has conversations with his dad or his buddies about haven't beat Ole Miss yet. Got to beat Ole Miss. It's the last team in the SEC. I don't see Lane coming in here and springing an upset either.
Yeah.
But I do like whoever asked the question, Jim. I do like the angle that is the week before Tennessee. Maybe there is a little look ahead that we need to think about.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we talked about it on this show or was my show this morning. I absolutely think Tennessee has multiple losses by the time we play them November 18th. I don't see them beating Bama. I think A&M beats them this year. I think South Carolina may spring another upset for all I know, but I don't think the game at Tennessee is going to be as big as Tennessee fans want that game to be, because I think Georgia will have already clinched the East by the time we go up there on November 18th.
Yeah. Well, it's funny to me how upset Tennessee fans were about how could Hendon Hooker not be the Heisman, et cetera. But now they're just pretending they're just going to, trot Milton out there and have to drop off. That is interesting to me.
I'll use a comparison on somebody. I mean this in a loving way, because Bryce Ramsey sweat, he bled, he worked hard for Georgia. He just never got it together.
He punted.
You're absolutely, he was a dog. But Bryce Ramsey, I'm telling you, seeing him at practice and seeing him do certain things, had one of the best arms I've ever seen in my life. Fantastic, strong arm, could throw that thing about 100 yards if he really wanted to. But unfortunately, we know on game days it never really clicked.
Yeah.
There's a reason Joe Milton is a year 5 as a college quarterback and has never been a starter, because he can throw the ball over those mountains like Uncle Rico, but he can't hit the side of a barn, dude. He can't. You're going to see him launch footballs into his receivers' stomachs from 8 yards away and just knock their hands off. You're going to see him overthrow so many things this upcoming year. If he resembles anything like Hendon Hooker last year, put me in the shocks department. He's not going to be nearly as efficient as they think he's going to be. In fact, I think I said this morning, one of my hot takes too, my bold predictions. I don't think Joe Milton starts against the Dogs. I think it's the Nick. I haven't learned to say his name. Have y'all? Alama or something.
Nico, right?
Nico Alama-Leva. I'll learn to say it eventually, but I was a doubter of his until I watched the Tennessee spring game. The kid's pretty darn good. He really is pretty good. And I think Joe Milton's going to kind of annoy Heupel enough where he's going to say, put the freshman in at some point before November. I really do believe that.
Logan, it's Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe.
Logan. Come on, man. Come on, man.
I would love for Bazooka Joe to be playing in November. Absolutely would, but I don't think
Bowl cut Kirby. He's gonna rule the day. Bazooka Joe. Right. He's gonna lead us to promised land.
Bless Tennessee's heart, man.
Yeah, seriously. I would love for them to crawl back into their hole because it was nice when they kind of went away for a while. And
it was so awful when they came back.
And not the team, the fans. The collective they of Tennessee.
Well, the fans were terrible, but I do appreciate them being better last year because they created one of the more memorable atmospheres we'll ever have.
Yeah.
When they got the number 1 ranking with college football playoff, that poll that week, and I never saw that coming. Like if we had done this show this time last year, previewing the season, I don't think I could have forecasted Tennessee as the number 1 team in the nation and that atmosphere being what it was. So maybe we'll get one of those this year, but I'm glad they stepped it up. That was a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like crushing their soul. That was fun.
Carter jumping up on the coolers and taunting Tennessee fans is a for sure core memory.
Yes, that is. I've seen the video. That is a thing of beauty. Submit that for the Peabody. See if a Peabody Award is handed to you.
Love it.
I know people in the Peabody Awards. I could give them a letter of recommendation, man.
I like it.
Now I'm going to go off the rails. Logan, I don't know if you saw. So throwback to Brett, who asked one of the earlier questions. He tagged us in a post. Someone, Herman Wood, donated his VHS collection of taped TV Georgia games with Munson dubbed over it from his radio, and you can tell. And there's like a whistle of the radio, which I sent him some direct messages. We were talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, sorry about like the pitch." I was like, "No, like that makes it authentic. Like that's what it was like." So that's in like the special collections library through like the Peabody stuff or whatever.
I saw that. I saw the link to it. I opened up one just like really quick out of curiosity, but I will spend some time eventually kind of pouring over a lot more of that stuff.
It's
so
pretty amazing.
The guy that did it, you said?
Yeah. I mean, not personally, but we share the same last name, but we follow each other on Twitter.
Well, I need to make sure I follow him too. That's awesome. He did that for sure.
Yeah, Logan, I thanked him.
Logan, I know that you're going to appreciate it. So when you go back to that link, go check out the Munson calling the Atlanta Braves.
Nice. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Somebody put a link somewhere recently to the entire 10-hour block of the Alabama call of the most recent national championship game, the 33-18 game. And I've got the link on my phone. I have already sat on my back porch at the lake with a beer and listened to Eli Gold's entire fourth quarter. Not just the pick six. I've listened to Eli's soul leave his body when A.D. Mitchell caught a ball, when Brock Bowers caught a ball, and when he realized that it's over, we're about to lose this game. Eli was just crushed, and it was. I probably had 3 or 4 beers, to be honest with you, but that was a great way to spend an evening, man.
You need to clip that up because I don't know that I've heard those calls.
Really? I can get I got to get in my studio. I can do it very easy. I can put it like a big 5-minute montage of just his lowest moments.
Oh
for
my
the
gosh.
entire fourth quarter of that game.
Just the title of the video is Eli Gold's soul leaves the building.
It really did, man. It really did.
It was amazing. All right, let's see. We got a few left. Chad Jarvis. This is a good one. What's your biggest fear going into the upcoming season?
I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you boys go first.
So Chad asked this question.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, Chad. I said a couple of years ago, I said, man, if Georgia can just give me a national championship, I'm going to be stress-free. Then I got 2. I mean this when I say this, that I am a stress-free, fearless son of a bitch right now. Okay, I'm fine. I don't have a fear right now. I think I'm just excited to see how this plays out this year, whether it works out or not. I don't see a weak point in this roster. I don't see a portion of the schedule that scares me. I think that Georgia's going to have a damn good year, and I don't have a fear. Maybe that's just part of my honeymoon period, but let's unpack this real quick. Let's say, Chad, let's say that Bryce Young had this miraculous comeback and Eli's soul went back into his body and they won that game. Let's say Noah Ruggles the very next year kick went through the upright and we'd have not won a natty this year. Then what would our fear be? Because I would have 1 million of them.
Munsoning did die.
It did die.
Down the sidelines.
I don't want to hear anybody Munsoning anytime soon. We are better than that now, man.
No, Munsoning is dead.
I mean, would it be the health of the running backs in the early season? Maybe would it be a brand new quarterback? That let's be honest. Carson Beck looked really good when we were up 52-7 in the national championship game.
Yeah,
but I've seen Carson Beck look a little bit deer in the headlights along the way as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him throw pick six against UAB in 2021. But it's interesting though, because if those things don't happen, we're not back to back. Was Stetson the quarterback the whole time, and are we breaking it? Like, there's so many, what ifs there. But yeah, I know the running back thing, John. I think that was yours, right? And I think that was actually so. That's what Bubby Dean said. It was a separate question, but I think he's answering this question. Are the running backs potentially the weakest offensive position group this year for the Dogs? And I think depth wise, maybe.
Yeah.
But
and in a weird roundabout way, if Georgia did not finish, if you got your heart broke twice the last couple of seasons, the biggest fear right now would be Kirby Smart. Can he ever get it done?
Yeah, that's true.
But that narrative died. That is gone now. We have bequeathed that narrative to Ryan Day in Ohio State. That's what they talk about in Columbus, Ohio now. That's all they want to know is, will Ryan Day ever get it done? And I'm not sure he will. So they can have that debate.
My only other one that I could come up with that we haven't talked about yet is we are breaking in a new kicker. So Jack Pod was the kicker of both national championship teams. So something to watch. I mean, I trust that we've got, is it Zirkle? Is he
Zirkle
right?
is one of them, and then there's another freshman I'm not even familiar with yet, but
okay.
So,
but yeah, so that was the only other thing I could come up with. But in general, I don't. Munsoning is dead. I'm just.
I mean,
we fear nothing.
Think of all the narratives we've killed. We've killed Munson. We've killed the Kirby. Can he get it done? I certainly hope you're with me that we've killed the Jacksonville narrative. I look forward to that game these days. I don't fear that anymore.
Yep.
No, I don't have any fear. let me lose a few games and I'll have more fears. But right now, I really truly am just in a good spot mentally when it comes to the Georgia Bulldogs, man.
Agreed.
It's fun.
Let's see. Fletcher Proctor, a friend of the show, often asking questions, great questions. It was Fletcher. You referenced this earlier, Logan. We can officially answer it now. How many ways will Brock Bowers score a touchdown this year? Rush, catch, can he pass for one? Punt return, scoop and score from a safety spot. And he said, good to guys you have back. We announced that we're back in our tweet, by the way. So I don't know. So the over under would have to be at 2.5 ways, right? Because he's going to score in an end around. He's going to catch a touchdown. So does he do something else?
Like I said, and I did kind of allude to it, I absolutely think he'll be rewarded for being the epitome of a damn good dog.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis got rewarded against Charleston Southern in 21 with the running touchdown. Remember, freshman Jalen Carter got to catch a touchdown pass against the Vols.
Yeah.
That's because he went and worked his tail off as a freshman. That was not just because, hey, you go in there and do it. That was by design. That was a reward. I think if there's any, remember, I'll go further when Rodrigo Blankenship had the opportunity to throw against Auburn in 2018. Remember that?
Yeah.
It didn't work, but that was sort of a reward for Rodrigo. I mean, there's little things that get worked in, and I do believe, and it may come against a crappy opponent. It may be a State or something. That's fine. Who cares? But I do think we'll have sort of a goal line play where the opponent thinks that we're giving that little jet sweep to Brock. But then maybe Oscar Delp or someone's going to slide around the back corner and he'll be wide open in the back of the end zones. I definitely think that's going to at least be attempted before the year's over.
I like it.
Hey, throw in Jacob Eason. He almost caught a touchdown pass against Auburn at the very end of 2016. Remember that? So
I do.
Close.
Yes.
I think Terry Godwin threw it.
I was going to say that had to be Terry Godwin.
Yeah. That would have been sweet.
He was channeling his inner Tarashinsky.
There you go. Joe
Nice.
T, baby.
Let's see. Zach, SC Dog, 864, another friend of the show. Who's the most exciting player you're looking forward to watching this season? Let's take Brock Bowers out.
Yes.
He had another one that could probably be its own episode. General thoughts and feelings on conference alignment news. I'll just say, get off my lawn. I don't like it. Go back to how it was in the '90s. That's my general thoughts. But I don't know who are you guys most excited about? Let's say non-Brock Bowers.
I'll start with sophomore Malachi Starks, man. The dude's popping up on every single top list right now. I think someone put out like the top 100 players in college football, and he cracked the top 50. I think you're going to see him take that year two bump and just be an absolutely ridiculous safety in the backfield, man. I think he's going to have, I'll throw a number. I'll give him an over-under of like 4.5 interceptions this year. I think he's going to have one of those kind of seasons. If we're sticking with defense, I'll throw Michael Williams, another sophomore that I think is absolutely destined to be an All-American one day. Trying to think of someone to throw in on offense, unless John's sitting there chomping at the bit trying to answer that.
I'm chomping at the bit to answer some of the other questions, but
we can circle back. We can always circle back. It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
That's right.
We can do it. We can do whatever we want.
I've been long-winded, and I apologize.
No. It's for me, like the player that I'm most looking forward to watching it's Carson Beck.
Yep.
To me, like the season is going to hinge a lot on how Carson Beck does, in my opinion. Because what I don't want to have is a situation where we're like, well, he's doing okay, but like we've got these other guys in the wings. You know what I mean? Like I want to see. I want to see Carson Beck come out and like just establish himself. Because like you said earlier, Logan, like I've seen him with the deer in headlights in the past. But what I will say is that against the number one defense in the country, he carved them to pieces in the spring game.
Yeah.
That's not something that you can like take for granted. Not to mention the fact that he's got the quarterback guru that turned Aaron Murray into, one of the most prolific passers in the SEC history.
Yep.
And Aaron didn't have near the talent level that was surrounding him. So for me, like I'm looking at Carson.
Throw a little bit of love to the big ugly fellas, man. I think Amarius Mims might be like a dominant right tackle. I'm serious. I think
I agree.
One of those like Isaiah Wilson type. I know Isaiah didn't work out on Sundays, but he was a force for the Dogs, man.
Yeah,
just like Andrew Thomas was on the other side. But I think Amarius may have him a year that's going to stick him like maybe in the late first round of the draft coming up. I think he could be that good.
I agree. Mims has been crazy.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe Buller will get another chance at the Buckeyes, man.
Yeah.
like talking about the weakest offensive position and like what my fear is, like you alluded to it earlier, like the health of the running back position is one of my biggest fears because Kendall Milton hasn't made it through a complete season.
Yeah.
You got Branson Robinson, who I like. That would have been my answer for this question, like person that you're most looking forward to. But like, I don't know to what degree that's the case today, because I don't know how long he's going to be out for. You know what I mean? So for me, like, I guess that you look at Kendall Milton, like, Jim and I have talked about this like for a couple of years now. Dejon Edwards has been a little cannonball. And who do we have that can replace the Kenny McIntosh role that we had before? You talked about Kenny Mac before as being one of the only players that's run, caught, and passed for a touchdown. And then I see all the NFL stuff that's going on with the preseason. Like Kenny Mac is he's catching eyes in his NFL rookie season preseason. So like I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Like who do we have that can fill that role? I look across the running back room and I don't see the versatility that Kenny Mack, presented. So I'm hoping that Dejon Edwards is going to be that answer. I think that he can. We've seen it in fits and starts. Like I think that in a mop up duty, obviously, but to me, like Dejon Edwards in that running back room has got to be the one that takes about a scruff of the neck, because I hate to say it, like Kendall Milton's had his chance, but like, can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be one of the dominant running backs in the SEC. And it'll be like a Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel type situation where we've got two running backs that are going to dominate the league, because I think Dejon Edwards has proven himself. He deserves reps.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't watch Cash Jones versus Auburn, and it shows, man. Cash Jones is your answer right there, baby. Stepping it up. No, but I'm hearing great things about Roderick Robinson, the freshman running back. We'll see what kind of athleticism he shows, and I think Andrew Paul was getting a whole lot.
He's another one. Yeah, he's another one.
Yeah,
but I don't know what he's going to be. It was about a year now. I mean, in fact, a couple weeks from now will be his 1 year since he tore his ACL. So
right.
It takes a while. He may not be the guy that he eventually will be this year, but we got some good depth there. We'll see what happens. But I agree with you, John, that we don't have a Kenny McIntosh. We don't have a dude that's going to do it all now. But Dejon is a very viable role to step up in that role and see what happens.
Yeah, because I mean we've been spoiled with these, with James Cook and then Kenny McIntosh. We had both at the same time, right? And there's doesn't seem to be a guy in that mold right now.
I'm trying to think back, since we've been talking about what was the last thing that that Bobo did for UGA? Did we have that Kenny Mack role in the running back position? I went back and looked at the tight ends, but I hadn't gone back and looked at the running backs.
I mean, we had the small. We would. That was back when we would have the one we'd have Carlton Thomas, or but not pass catching like that. I don't think. I mean, we had Gershel, right? We had Gurley and Keith Marshall, but I don't know that Keith Marshall even really fits that mold of a James Cook or a Kenny McIntosh. I don't feel like he does really.
Yeah, he just had that speed, man. He could before he hurt himself, he would go.
Yeah, seriously. All right, last one, friend of the show, fraternity brother of John and I, Tim Riley. The Georgia fan formerly known as miserable in Minnesota has moved back to Georgia. So he said he's back in Georgia. How many games will I see an appearance in person from Jim or John in Athens? And where should they be prepared to tailgate? Side note, parking at Myers Quad South Campus Deck will default tailgate there potentially. I mean, Riley, I don't know offhand how many games I'll be at, but we'll definitely seek out. John, are you still going to be game time decision most weeks this year? I know youth sports are changing for you guys. So
a lot of weeks that will be the case, but I will say that the Kentucky game looms large for a number of reasons.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to divulge the location of Logan's tailgate, but he has a good one.
I was about to say, should I divulge it because it's also perfect, and I don't want it to be
perfect.
Everybody finds out because there's free parking, there's wide open spaces. It's an easy, beautiful walk to the stadium. So yeah, meet me at the North Campus parking deck, top level. No, that's not where I tailgate, but no, it's the location. I'll leave that for your inner circle if you guys want to share it for where I am. So it is a great spot, and anybody is always like you guys have stopped by. You're always welcome to swing through, man. We like to eat the opposing mascot. That's always fun. So who's week one? The UT Martin Skyhawks. We could just go straight up chicken wings or something for that.
Are you going to have shark for Ole Miss? What's going on here?
I was going to say it gets weird sometimes. I've got a guy that smuggles tiger meat. It's a common opponent, but tiger steaks are on the menu. No, I'm kidding, by the way. But it is nice to throw a pork loin on the grill. If you wrap it in string when you grill it, you make tiger stripes, so you can make tiger meat. But no, we have a good time at our tailgate, man. I think we got a pretty solid setup, so I look forward to getting out there, man.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
We also know a few other spots as well, Tim.
We solved one of our biggest tailgating problems recently. We got rid of the satellite, and I'm fortunate enough to know a couple of people that work at the university, so they have given me or let me borrow their university faculty Wi-Fi login. And because we tailgate right up next to one of the buildings, I'm able to pick up their Wi-Fi real easily and solidly on the computer. And I'm a YouTube TV guy, so I've been able to kind of just mirror my computer onto our TV and just watch YouTube TV with a sound bar that way. And it's made it very, very nice over there. So we don't have to set up a satellite and worry about weather or none of that stuff. It's fantastic.
That is key. That was always that was always interesting, pointing the satellite dish in the right direction.
We had a Dish Network for several years, man. And I'm telling you, it just decided week to week if it was going to work or not. It was brooding, and we had wide open sky. Nothing was blocking this satellite, but it was just whatever mood that satellite was in, we were at its peril, dude. I hated that thing.
Yeah, seriously.
So good to go. Yeah, man. I'm gonna echo Carter. I think 15-0, back to back champs, baby. Let's make it happen. And but here's the thing. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here at all, but like if Georgia does not get it done this year, and I know all of our rivals are chomping at the bit to watch us fail. Okay,
especially on the recruiting trail.
Exactly. But when it comes to these upcoming fall Saturdays, I feel the same way about them. I love watching them fail. But if we don't do it this year, do they actually think that we'll be remembered more for not being the team that three-peated, or will we be the team that won back-to-back champions? I mean, like, we're in a really good spot right now.
Yeah.
The you didn't three-peat doesn't hit nearly as hard as 1980 did. I'll tell you that, dude. We are in a good place. I want everybody that listens to your show to recognize that and enjoy the ever-living hell out of it, man, because these are the good days that we are sitting smack dab in the middle of. And there's really no end in sight. That's the thing. If Georgia doesn't win this year, I'm going to sit here on your show next summer and be just as optimistic about this year as I'm going to be right now. Like, we've got so much good going, and can't wait for the Raiola era to eventually roll around whenever it does, man. Like, we're going to win more championships under Kirby. I promise you that. I absolutely promise you there's more coming. If it's this year or next year or just eventually, there will be more. And that's a good feeling.
Yeah, you look at the roster and you're like, well, they won back to back. Like, now what?
Yeah.
Well, what do you look at the roster? Look at the roster that's coming behind everybody. Like,
it's crazy, man. I know other teams are doing good stuff on the trail too, but we're in a different world, man. Different than we've ever lived through. This is kind of nuts.
I hope that here's my hope for the legacy that Kirby Smart's going to leave at the university. I hope that by the time that he retires, and I've heard rumblings that like he doesn't plan to stick around like as long as some of these other guys have. Like, he's not like a Joe Paterno type guy who's going to be around for decades upon decades. But whatever, if he does, he does. Then great, he's earned that right. But the thing that I'm looking at here is that he left Alabama, and where have they gone since then? How does Kirby Smart's success at the University of Georgia change the narrative for Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama?
It could be the kryptonite eventually, man. How awesome would that be? But no, I don't know how long his reign will happen. But I'll say this: that Mary Beth Smart has become a good friend of our show, and she pops in once a year. And she'll have a nice hour in the studio with us. And it's the off-air conversations that make me really believe they are happy as can be. They are so loving their life right now. And I even kind of asked her, I don't know if this may have been an on-air question, but it was sort of like, how do you balance like the work life? I mean, like, you don't see Kirby much. She didn't care. That's $100 million man. That's her boo. But I mean, they love each other. They have a great relationship. But you could tell that like she recognized that just comes with it, man. Like we're fine. We are building a brand new house in Watkinsville, and life is very good right now for the Smarts. So they recognize that. But I do think he's going to be around for a really long time.
That's fair. That's fair. That's reassuring as well, because you look at like the Smart family. We've talked about Andrew Smart is just living life, man. You want to talk about if you're friends with mom, you got to talk to her about getting Andrew on for a little Carter-esque interview. The kid is literally all of us.
Did you see his one-handed interception at his camp that was on Twitter?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It's the kid, and he is pretty athletic. Kirby said that Andrew may be a little athlete down the road. So who knows? One day you'll get the keys to the family business. Maybe he'll coach the dogs down the road, but who knows, man?
I'm gonna say maybe he could be a scrappy safety that plays for his dad, has a nose for the ball.
That's right.
like the old man. All right. Well, Logan, always great to have you. Let's see. I'm always horrible at this, so I'll do this at the end. I probably should have at the beginning. Let's plug this stuff. So you want to find Logan you're on all the socials. Logan M. Booker on Twitter, right? 960 The Ref Morning Show.
On the threads these days. I'm rocking the threads. I want Threads to make it. I just think it's already lost steam. It's sort of like, it's cool, it's a good format, but like it's never going to replace Twitter. I'm sorry, and I'm not going to call it X. It's Twitter. At Logan M Booker. Give me a follow on Instagram if you want. I think that one's different. It's Logan MB83. And I don't do as much sports on that. That's a little bit more of a glimpse into my personal life, but that's all good. That's where I put my Dennis Morton gifts.
That's no. That's Logan at the lake, and it's Logan in the nature, and also I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the dog's name, but your dog Chipper.
It's the best life in the world, man. That's my 14-year-old hound dog that has been with me every step.
And still in the wood shop. Don't forget the wood shop.
That's right.
The workshop is a nice setup.
And also hella full sends down the river.
True.
I've got some secret spots in the lake. I got this little jet ski that'll get up to about 60 miles an hour, man. I can zip through those rivers one day. If a bear doesn't get me, a stump in the water will. You know.
There you go.
One day we'll see what happens, but nature will get me one way or the other. I have no doubt in my mind.
Oh, nice. How many years is it on the morning show now, Logan? With you and Dave,
just past the 4-year mark.
Okay.
So it was 2019 spring when I took over full time, and then so a little over 4 years.
Nice.
Are we still doing the baseball announcing as well?
No, I didn't do that last year. They brought a whole new ops team in just to kind of change things up. And the guy that came and took over brought his own staff. Like that's just kind of the way that works is if they replace the boss, sometimes it's like a head coach in a way.
Yeah.
They'll bring like a staff with them sometimes. So I didn't do that, but I loved it over there. I had a good time, but I really did recognize how much more free time I had this past spring. And I still watch every Georgia baseball game. I love it. But it was actually, I'm not trying to sound bitter at all, but it was kind of nice not being there every single game because it took a lot of time to do that. It was kind of tedious. But yeah, I think the Georgia baseball team's in a good place. I'm excited for the new coach.
Yeah.
I like Strickland a lot. He was a good friend. I really hated it for him, but I really do like the new regime they brought in. I'm excited to see what happens.
Cool. Nice. Well, I know even for people like me in North Carolina, I can still listen to the morning show. 960 The Ref app.
Yeah, man, that's right. Yeah, we're on 6 every morning. It's we have fun. I think it's a good little show. We enjoy doing it, and it cranks up big time when football starts for sure. So can't wait to get that going.
Awesome, nice. JP, you got any parting thoughts for us, JP?
No parting thoughts. Although, have we ever asked Logan his Georgia story?
Uh-oh.
Let's see. I love it. This is where John specializes. The late minute question. I don't.
The Georgia story. What is a Georgia story, John?
How did you? You're an alumnus, right? So, how did you become a Georgia fan? What's your Georgia background? What's your Georgia story?
I'll keep it kind of short. So here's a dirty little secret that is a My God, a podcast exclusive.
Yeah.
I grew up a Florida State fan. It was terrible.
Ooh.
My parents, my father especially, was just not into sports. Sports was not their thing. I don't know how I became a sports fanatic when I was a kid. I lived and breathed and ate Sports Center, playing sports in the yard. But my dad nor my mom were anything to do with sports whatsoever. I took on Florida State as my fandom because they were really good in the early 90s. They were fun to watch. They were the team in America. So I wore the Florida State starter jacket and the hat and all that stuff to school. But then there was this really odd premonition. Remember when we whipped Florida in 1997? Georgia beat Florida, kind of a surprise victory. I remember as a kid, let's see, I would have been 14 years old. So I wasn't a kid. Yeah. But I remember watching that game being that's the home team. I'm from Georgia. I was born and raised in Georgia. I knew a lot about Georgia football. It just kind of clicked that night. That's my team right there. Why am I a Florida State fan? And then that just kind of took off from there. So my fandom grew and grew and grew. But yeah, eventually I went to school in college later in life than I should have. I was actually 27 when I started school and went to Georgia Perimeter for a year, had a 4.0. I took it seriously and transferred to Georgia from there and got a media degree from journalism media degree from there. So now I find myself working in radio every day.
We definitely have not asked that. I did not know the Florida State.
I did not. Yeah,
no, it's weird, man. I was on a Disney World trip when I was a kid. This would have been around 93, I think. You can look it up whenever. No, I take it back. This is a different year. Anyway, the point is, we were on a Disney World trip in Thanksgiving, and I made my father take me to the ESPN sports bar as opposed to doing like family stuff, so I could watch Florida State play football. I would not miss it. It was that level of dedication where I was like, Dad, let my mom and brother go do whatever they're going to do. We've got to go watch the football game. And he obliged. He actually took me. We went and ate wings and watched the Florida State football game. But
that's hilarious. But the most important part here is that the disdain for Florida was ingrained from a young age.
That is always a common, like,
Corinne was there when she wasn't there.
I know. The voice was always there, no doubt about it.
All I know is that Mike Bobo is the reason you're a Georgia fan, because he was the quarterback of that 97 team.
It's very possible. I'm all for that.
Omens. Hashtag omens.
Had to bring it back.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, good question, John. Man, yeah, I definitely did not know. That's awesome. That's awesome.
You got to ask.
All right, man. Well, guys,
right, I got to get some sleep. I got a morning show in a couple hours. We'll spin the wheel of steel. We'll talk some Phil Steele, and the Braves lost tonight, by the way. That kind of stinks, but
does suck.
Whatever.
Carter was looking while we were watching.
Yeah. Well, nice. The Braves either score 10 runs or 1 run. That's just kind of our MO right now. Like, you don't know which one you're going to get.
That's right.
Tonight was 1. That's okay. We're still the best team in baseball.
We need some pitching.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we'll get right. It's all good.
Well, Logan, we get into what we usually do, but before we do, I just want to tell you that you should be good out there, but if you can't be good, be careful.
Thanks,
little Dennis Morton for you.
That means a lot. That means a whole lot. Here's my look. There's my pony right there. There she goes.
There we go. There we go.
There's my pony ready to ride, baby.
That's a niche joke. That's a niche joke.
I've been bad about it lately, but I've ridden like four days pretty recently, and like it's kicking my ass like it shouldn't. So I'm getting back. I promise. Well,
that's good.
We'll get back to my old days because I used to be really damn good on that thing.
Oh yeah,
like I put up some good numbers on that bike, but I'm not good at staying consistent for long term at anything, and that unfortunately was one of those. I accidentally slipped off a little bit.
That's better never rest, Logan.
I'm getting back.
There you go.
Better never rest, baby. That's it.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on with us.
All right, man. Yeah, I'll talk to y'all guys soon. We'll hit us up on the tailgate this year.
Absolutely. Go Dogs.
All right, go Dogs, guys. We'll see you, man.
Go Dogs.